What is going on, guys? Bingo here. I am with the Duel Factory for episode 1 of season 2 for X2 Drop, or episode 44, whichever one I title this as. I'm still not 100% sure. And this week's episode is definitely more fun. It's not focused on the metagame. It's not focused on anything specific as far as like the current card game. But what we decided to talk about is our favorite cards of each type, being normal, effect, ritual, spell, trap, fusion, synchro, exceed, pendulum, and link. Jesus. So we're going to go through our favorite. They don't have to be the best. It's just our personal connection to them. And then if we have time at the end, we're going to go over the best cards of each type on what we think they are. The only limitations for favorites is you can't use the same archetype more than once. So you can't have like Shaddoll Fusion and Shaddoll Construct on the list. But besides that, that's just about it. So for normal monster, I'd kind of pick 2 because I really didn't want to talk about Dark Magician for the billionth time. But that is definitely my favorite vanilla monster. My second favorite is Chosen by the World Chalice. And this is really weird because the World Chalice archetype, like I don't play it like at all since it came out. But it was really the transitional piece to me actually being willing to play combo. I just really enjoyed the archetype like look at the time. Like Ningirsu's a really cool looking card, Chosen, and it just really made me want to play other than control decks. And I mean that's pretty much it. It wasn't like crazy Trigate Gumblar World Chalice. It was pretty much Ningirsu for 3 draws with like a firewall bounce and an extra link. Maybe a Gamma Seal on the field, but like that was it. It wasn't anything crazy. So, Joe, what'd you go with?
So clearly, my favorite, the best normal monster is Blue Eyes White Dragon. Clearly, it's better card than Dark Magician, every shape, way, and form. Well, yeah, and Kaiba was probably one of my favorite characters. But if I had to choose something that's not one of those for my favorite vanilla monster, it would have to be Mech Knight Abram. Solely based on his flavor text alone, by far. Like literally, I love handing my opponent a card saying, "Check this out."
That actually makes me so mad. I bring this up all the time. Like the OCG translation of the flavor text is actually super. It's like super cool for the lore for the Mech Knights, and then Konami of America is like, "Fuck all that. I'm just gonna throw a meme on here because that's what we do." And I will never get over it.
I mean, that's like when we got Treat Toad and they give us totally awesome.
Oh
but
my God.
That's a
discussion for a different time. Konami will sacrifice anything for a meme, as you can see with the for hire problem solving card text. Literally changing just for the meme. So on to effect monsters. I was torn between like 2 or 3 cards, but I ended up going with Injection Fairy Lily. It was between this, Yatagarasu, and actually a card called Fire Princess from like way back in the day. But I ended up going with Injection Fairy Lily because it's just when I was like 10 to 12 years old, like playing old school Yu-Gi-Oh! And like seeing this card come out, being a level 3 with 400 attack, but being able to just like boost itself to 34 was like, it like blew my mind. It could attack under Gravity Bind. It can attack under a level limit Area B, which if you didn't play back then, like locals, like was totally just a mishmash of just bad cards all put into one deck, mine included.
You say mismatch of bad cards. I say cesspool of greatness.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It just wasn't like the super streamlined, like this is what I'm playing that you see at locals now. It was just like kind of like what's the word, like like you just had a pool of cards and you would build a deck out of it. Like the meta was a thing, but for 11-year-old me it wasn't, you know.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that one.
So I mean that's why I like this card. I actually owned 2 copies of this card as a kid. Unlike Yatagarasu, I could never get my hands on that. And I just really enjoyed it, being able to normal summon it and just punch my buddy's blue eyes for fucking free was awesome. And
I bet it was. I bet it was.
So that's my pick. Joe, what'd you go with for effect monster?
So, my favorite effect monster has to be Neptibus the Atlantean. Like, for one, he's in probably my favorite archetype by far. There's so much you can do with just one, because like you summon him, activate the effect. That's a +2 immediately. When I think of the deck that he goes in, that's the deck I had the most success in with Yu-Gi-Oh! And like artwork's great, color scheme's great. Like it's just by far my favorite effect monster, without a doubt.
Yeah. I mean, I've never played water outside of like frogs, but this card's artwork is just, it's like top tier. Like this card, before I saw all the other what's it called, mermail cards,
Atlantean?
because like that's what went with them. This was the first card I saw for water, and I'm like, I want to build this deck. And then I saw like how ugly Megalo is, and like I don't want to.
You shut your mouth.
But like this card, it's just a really good looking card as far as, you know, outside looking in. But for
Megalo is a gorgeous looking secret card.
It is a good looking secret, but as far as like what it actually is a picture of, I'm not a fan. So Ritual, I ended up going with Necros of Colossus. We all knew it was going to be a Necros card, but it's not Unicorn, it's not Brio. Colossus specifically is the reason I found the Necros deck. Now, I would have found it eventually because I got a lot more like research the game and like learn every card as I went. But in like January of 2017, like a couple months after I started playing, I was just going through bulk and I saw this card and it was just gorgeous. It was a super shiny secret rare. The color scheme is great. Like the character was just cool looking. And this card was the reason that made me want to start learning past formats and start obtaining older cards, even though they're not relevant to the current game. And it's the reason I own this. I own spellbooks, I own Dragon Rulers, I own windups, I own a bunch of old stuff. And it's because like I was just picking through bulk and I'm like, okay, this card's cool. What else comes with this? And on that note, it took me 45 fucking days to get my Valks.
Yeah.
And the best part is, you know, I ordered him from the guy that ran the Gaming Goat. And he's it's not like he wasn't trying to get them, but everyone that had them didn't want to sell them. But this is the same guy that I'm like, I need 3 Barrage, 3 Terratop when they're $30, 3 Trident, 3 Broadbolt, and I had them all within 4 hours. So I was just like super mad that it took me so long to get my Valks. But all right, that's my ritual. What's yours?
That is an acquisition of Valks. But my favorite ritual monster is Revan Dreadslayer. Like, lore's good. He's the perfect. He's one of my favorite types in the game, which is zombie. And like, there's so much you can do with him in any like strategy like built around it and stuff like that. Like I'm sure you know how we all remember the Nightmares of Goki format.
Yeah.
And you could do something similar with Revan Dreadslayer, and like I just love how generic he is, especially with like his word text and stuff like that. He's like you can play with pre-prep. Like there's so many things you can do with that one card, and like I don't know. To me, he's just like one of the coolest ritual monsters by far.
Yeah, and being based on the character Spawn I just thought it was really cool. And like was it Revendred Origin, the ritual spell is just like a really good, like really cool looking ritual card that kind of like throws the lore out there and like really helps tie the story together. It's just a really cool archetype, and I like Slayer is awesome, but the main deck monsters, the effects, I wasn't like too much of a fan of.
No, they kind of really botched it, but Slayer, like the card itself, was like really really good.
Yeah, with Slayer and Origin, like the deck could have been if the baby Revendred cards they have to be used from the field as material to get the effect, right? That was the biggest problem.
Yeah, they have to be used for the ritual summon by being face up on the field.
Yeah,
and
that is what fucking hurt the deck, because if it was from hand or grave, like I feel like the deck would have done infinitely better.
Oh yeah. All right. That little restriction toned down that card's actual use, but it's still, I'd still think, like, in terms of like generic way it could be fit into, it's gonna be really good.
Yeah. All right, moving on to spells. I had to put Zoo somewhere on the list, and it wasn't under Effect Monster, and now it's not going to be under Xyz. Zodiac Barrage is my favorite spell. It was the first deck that I got my invite with. It was the first deck I had the most fun with. I very much enjoyed the mirror match, the play style of the deck. I just thought it was the most fun way I could play a Yu-Gi-Oh deck. And Barrage was just the freest card ever. It's a free monster out of the deck. It's a continuous spell that can pop itself to resolve its effect, which I just like. That was really a strange interaction for me. It baits a hand trap. It baits your opponent's Trident. If you pop Ram with it in like the second turn, it's just, the card is just incredible. And it's still an incredible card. It's just what you get after you resolve the effect is limited because we don't have Brawl Bowl or Trident, and that's it. So I enjoy it. I will always want to play Zoo. My Discord message for when I'm online, it says probably building Zoo. I love the deck, and I cannot wait to see Konami not give me Trident back like the OCG. All right, so what spell did you pick?
My favorite spell, near and dear to my heart, Dimension Fusion. I love Dimension. There's so much that happens on one Dimension Fusion resolution. It's actually insane. And like, I remember like old school Yu-Gi-Oh when like you had like actual zombie decks and you'd banish all this stuff and you're like Dimension Fusion, and then the soul-crushing look on your opponent's face when that happened. Whew.
Yeah,
card's so much fun.
Defusion is just, it's one of those select few cards where unless you like completely nerf it, it is.
Hey, buddy, just, I think we're on the wrong page because you said Defusion, and I'm 100% talking about a Dimension Fusion.
Oh my god, I abbreviated Dimension Fusion. All right, this is one of those cards that just, it is just absolutely unfair and can never exist in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! In its current state. Like, being able to resolve this, I'm guessing you got memories of it from Dragon Ruler format.
Well, no. So in Dragon Ruler format, we had its trap version, which was
Return from a different dimension.
But Dimension Feud, that's a spell card. Yeah. You don't have to set it. Yeah, and so much shit happens.
I played Link Evolution with 3D Fusion, all the rulers, and like just seeing what this card can do going first in modern day, which is pretty much what I was trying to do. It's just absolutely fucking nuts. And could you imagine if we had snow?
Stop it. You stop that right now.
You open grass, mill snow, activate and have Defusion in hand.
That's insane. But that's like monsters.
Oh my god. And it's not once per turn. Oh, I don't even want to think about it. But yeah, that card is insane. I don't have any memories of it, but I just don't ever want to have any memories.
Builded Dimension, dude? Because I have.
What was that?
Have you ever sent a Dimension Fusion off Diamond, dude? Because I have. Have you ever resolved it for free? Because that's what that card says.
Oh my god. All right. So my trap card, honestly, I could not think of one. And I actually chose Gravity Bind. And that is because one of my favorite decks to play as a fucking idiot child was like a fire burn control deck thing where it had like 3 Gravity Bind, 3 Level M Airy Bee, Solar Flare Dragon, Fire Princess. And I brought it to locals. I won my first locals with it, and it was it's super fun to me. Now I fucking can't stand stun because it's a lot different now than it was back then. Because I mean, you had cards like Heavy Storm, Feather Duster, like you had these mass spell and trap removal, so it's not like it was the most unfair thing in the world. But I don't know, it's just fond memories. My second choice was Dimensional Barrier, and that's just because like I think the artwork's awesome. It was like one of my first major investments in the game because they were like fucking $60-$80 for Zoo format, and it's just a cool looking card. But what trap card did you pick?
So shout out to my boy Kyle, because me and him have had like the favorite same trap card for God knows how long. But I am a huge fan of Breakthrough Skill. Love the card. I think the card is fantastic. Like, I remember when it came out, it was in pack. And then further in the format, when we got to like hat format, that's where you really, really saw it, because like you got in stopping like the artifact cards and stuff like that. And it was just such a solid generic out to so many floodgate monsters at the time. Because like, I don't know, when you were sitting there, like I remember playing Shadal against Necros, and like outing Unicorn was just like the biggest thing, and like Breakthrough Skill just did that for you. And then like Majesty's Fiend, Vanity's Fiends, and stuff like the card just had so many generic uses, and for trap cards and stuff like that, I just absolutely love the card. I think it does so much.
It was one of the first cards that you would get like double use out of it, right? Like you get the field activation and then the grave activation.
Yeah, you got two uses out of it, kind of like how you get two uses out of like a Lost Wind, or I just had the thought of the card, I can't think about it. But it was just like, it's still today like one of my, it's not very good right now, and like that's understandable because you have like infinitely better cards, but like it's such a good. Plus, watching Dolka try to break through that glass, I love it.
Yeah, and then the ulti looks pretty cool.
It's crisp.
That was actually the first ulti I opened, was a ulti breakthrough skill from some random pack.
It's great. I love the card. So good.
My favorite fusion card is Elder Entity Norden. Like, I'm surprised it wasn't an invoked monster, but after thinking about it, like, the reason I like the invoked engine so much is Alistair, not really like the invoked monsters themselves. Norden, it was just such, before it became absolutely absurd in Fusion Sub-Zero, that is not why it is on the list. It was just a nice card to have for like bad decks, like instant fusion into Norden to make a rank 4. Like, it was just something I put into just about everything because it gave you access to your Castell, your Abyss Dweller, gave Abyss Dweller the extra attack. So I mean, it was just a very friendly card for new players, and it wasn't absurdly busted until later in the game. Now it's at a point where it's just like it cannot exist, but that's okay.
100% no.
That's okay.
100% no.
So, yeah, I still get flashbacks of fucking Fusion Sub, and that's not even, that would pale in comparison to the shit this card would cause right now.
Oh my god. I'm just thinking about combo. There's a lot of combo there.
All right, so what's your favorite fusion monster? I'm gonna take a guess, but
I mean, there's only one thing about, and you know, she is the queen. But Construct, by far probably one of my favorite fusion monsters. And like, I could go on for days about it, but I'll break it down how I broke it to my buddy Skinner, because he could. For the longest time, my buddy Skinner couldn't understand why Construct was banned. And I could literally go over this entire list in less than 2 minutes. But, like, Construct was several things. One, it was an engine starter. You put it on the field, sends any card from your deck to the grave, set up any sort of combo. So, for example, you could send a Beast, get a draw. You can search El Shadal Fusion by sending Shadal Core and Fusion if you use it with Squamata. Another thing, it recovered one card back from the graveyard. It could clear fields, and it put pressure on the board, and it was also able to start off a supplementary engine for your deck because being a light attribute. So you had access to a whole other plethora of cards, and then we never even got to play it with Snow, but I could imagine it would be insane with Snow. And then, like, the card art is phenomenal. It is a gorgeous looking ulti, and like, being level 8 is actually perfect. I mean, when one construct hits the board, like 4 effects resolve almost every time, and I love it. Yeah. Such a good card. Such a good card.
I didn't know Construct's battle effect was mandatory until this past Saturday.
Wait, you didn't know that what?
That her battle effect was mandatory until this past Saturday. I didn't know that because I didn't play during the format and I barely used the engine.
Oh, yeah, it's 100% mandatory. But, like...
All right, my favorite Synchro monster. This one, like, I don't really have any Synchros that I'm in love with, but it's just going to be Star Eater. It was between this and Yazi, and it's strictly because it is a great-looking level 11 Kaleidoscope target. And that is it.
I mean, I feel you on that one. It really is like, you're just flexing at that point.
Yeah, you're summoning Kloss and Valk, and you send a ulti Star Eater.
The flex, pure flex.
Yazi is a super good card, and I play it a lot, but like I don't like. It's just a good card. It's a means to an end. Like I actually have like I enjoyed picking up my ultimate rare Star Eater at one of my first regionals I went to. It's just a nice card that I enjoy. I don't like Synchro is probably my second least favorite mechanic, other than like Cyframe Lord Omega. That card's amazing. But what's your favorite Synchro, Joe?
So you know what I think the best Synchro in the game?
The best
probably it's going to be Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. So what you don't know is my favorite 5Ds character was Jack, but I wasn't a huge fan of Red Dragon Archfiend. But then I saw Scarlet Red Dragon when it actually got. Like, I think that cards are so cool. Like, it has the same exact stats. It's generic. It could be played in any deck that has a tuner and has able to make a level 8 synchro. It can be played. That being said, I think it's infinitely better than the original because it has an actual. It's an actual win condition. And like I remember playing it like it was one of like when DDD was popular for 2 weeks. I played it in the flex spot. Yeah. For a level 8 synchro, because like it just like any deck that could play it and had a flex spot for, I always played it because like you could just steal games with it. Like I remember playing against Ray, he was playing Metal Foe and I was playing DDD, and I summoned a Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend because he maxed me and I just had a win condition. So like, it's just like when I think of like synchros and stuff like that in terms of like that, like it's just to me that's probably my favorite synchro.
It's highest rarity is a secret, right?
Let me think here.
I don't know, because I'm pretty sure it comes in secret. I might be thinking of the original.
Oh, no. But... Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, it comes in Ghost. It was actually, I think it was the last Ghost rare. Because I think the set after that, they quit doing them.
Would you say this card got power crept by the level 8, what's it, the Zark Synchro dude? I forget. The Raigeki Dragon?
Oh, you mean the Supreme King?
Supreme King, dude.
Supreme King Clearwing. I mean, it did because like it was just an easier card to make and it's better. But like Scarlet, just I love Scarlet.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Card's so good.
All right,
and it's ulti. Just putting that out there.
On to XYZs. I had to give it to Minerva. Like it's strictly because like I always thought this card was absolutely gorgeous. I think it's one of the most beautiful cards ever printed.
What card was it?
Minerva, the Exalted Lightsworn. Like I've seen one Ultra in person. The secret rare from Battles of the Legend. Like they just look fucking awesome, and its reprint is the reason I finally built like Lightsworn, because I don't care about any of the other Lightsworn cards. Just milling like a wolf and any other Lightsworn drawing two. Like milling cards in general is fun, super fun in BA, but milling Lightsworn cards with Minerva, like there's almost no better feeling for me in the game.
Mill 3.
That's why I've been playing it for a fucking month and a half.
But, I believe it. 100% believe it.
Too bad I'll never get to pop cards because my luck's not that good. All right, what's your favorite XYZ? Just before you start, there were so many. XYZ is my favorite mechanic. There were so many to pick from. Like, I really wish we could have put 5 on the list. But all right, go ahead.
Nah, I feel you on that one. But no, without a doubt, by far favorite XYZ is Diamond Dire.
Oh,
love that card. One. The card, I mean, it does so much. 2 level 4 monsters, you clear any card. Its artwork is sick. Love its artwork. I remember we always kept making however you want to call it, but we always make the joke that we're always summoning Suicune. Cards is great. One of my favorite decks I actually played in, honestly, was we're not going to talk about Infernity because that was just awful. But Necros, I love playing in Necros. It was perfect. It's a generic rank 4. You clear the back row, you clear your field, you get a search a ritual spell, and then you continue off. There's not a deck that it could not go into, and then you release Castell to go with it, and they just paired perfectly because you were dealing with 3 cards total.
Yeah.
For those 2 monsters, and I love that card.
I even in ABC, Diamond Direwolf, we had cards like Castell and Tornado Dragon. People were still playing it because it has that extra utility where it gets both of the materials that are under it into the grave after the effect resolves, which became really important in a lot of decks. But
it's good.
You got to get them secret Germans, man.
I thought about getting German ones because I love the name for it, but I never committed to it.
So for anybody that doesn't know, a secret rare, any secret rare from that set, right? But we're talking about Diamond Direwolf. There was a foil.
Yeah, Cosmo Blazer.
Yeah, there was a foiling issue where there would be a silhouette. You'd be able to see a different secret rare in the background of whatever secret rare you had. So you could get a Madrot in the background of Diamond Direwolf, and it just looks super clean. All right, so for Pendulum monsters, I picked Double Iris Magician. Pendulum is by far my least favorite mechanic. The only Pendulum deck I've ever had any desire to play is pure Pendulum Magician, and it's because Double Iris's artwork is amazing. And that's it. There's nothing else. I don't really have good things to say about Pendulum, to be honest. It was almost hollow because I had about 42 of the ultras, but that's it. Go ahead.
It's a weird flex, but all right. But in terms of Pendulum monsters, DDD Abyss King Ragnarok, love that card. I think its artwork's great. I love mainly because I love the archetype.
That's the dude sitting on the chair, right?
Yeah, that deck that card in particular, I love it's of its pendulum. Its pendulum effect is actually insane, which, I mean, it gets overshadowed by some other stuff. But it does. You summon it, it summons a monster from the graveyard. Its pendulum effect brings back one from the graveyard. It can be used with several other cards in the archetype, and it evolves into Kali Yuga and stuff like that. The card is actually insane, and for Pendulum for that deck, I think it's just an amazing card.
Yeah. I didn't play DVDs. I'll take your word for it. That's pretty much all I got to say on that one. All right, for links, where we got 2-3 minutes left, so we'll go quick. Is Alistair the Invoker of Madness? I almost call it Meltdown Invoker every time. This card is how I got invoked on the list because I couldn't put Alistair on it. But this card was such a power boost for Invoked after Master Rule 4 came out, and it pure Invoked was impossible to play, but this gave you the ability to OTK multiple fusion summons in a turn. One of the biggest issues I have with this card is it's not treated as Alistair in the Banish Zone. That would be fucking great, but it just does a ton for the deck. I wish it searched Omega Summon when it left the field, but we can't get everything we want. But this card just did so much for my favorite, one of my favorite casual engines being Invoked. It's just a super fun deck to play at locals. That's why you see it everywhere. But we're running short on time. I'll let you take your spot.
My favorite Link monster? I'm a huge fan of Guard Dragon LP. I love that card. It's a Lone Fire Blossom for any dragon type, which is by far probably one of my favorite types in the game. I do like the artwork of all the Guard Dragons, but LP is just my favorite.
Yeah, LP definitely has the best art.
But yeah, like it tutors any dragon out of your deck. It lets you do some like really cool combos, especially now that we have Romulus and stuff like that. And you have access to a whole slew of cards because of that one thing. So I mean, to me, in Link Monsters, that's probably going to be my favorite.
I mean that's fair. That card is absolutely nuts on paper. But all right, we're at 30 minutes, so this was fun. We didn't get to the best cards of each type. We might do that next week or whenever we have a down week. So if you guys want to check that out, just please remember to check us out. Same time, same place every week. It's Monday at 8 a.m. on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and like 40 other places I don't even know. And if there's something you want us to talk about, let us know on our YouTube channels, youtube.com/bingohd or the Duel Factory, and we'll talk about it because we have no fucking idea what we're talking about until we sit down. So, Joe, you got any closing comments?
Yu-Gi-Oh! Is forever. And Doug has no sauce.
All right. Well, Yu-Gi-Oh! Being forever, I hope so. I hope Konami doesn't ruin the game at some point, but they haven't yet, and it's been, 20 years? So, all right. With that being said, I will see you guys back here next week, same time, same place, and peace out.
Okay, bye.